Welcome to Jurassic Park.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Why don't we just wait here for a little while?
Do you want to know what it is?
There's no knowing where you might be swept off to.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
There's a special rug in hell reserved for people who waste good scotch.
He peed on my rug.
He peed on the dude's rug.
Do your worst.
Final report of the commercial starship Nostromo.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
More than a feeling.
More than a feeling. More than a feeling.
That's the word. Welcome to Your Feature Presentation, the podcast where we explore stories through the latest movies and pop culture. Today we're talking about movies coming out this weekend and our top 5 favorite genres and the directors that own those genres. With me today, the ever-present, ever-faithful, no salt, no butter, popcorn lover, Andrew McKay.
Wow, I need a plaque. That's good. That's good.
All of that on a plaque.
Yeah. Wow, it's so good to see you, Heath.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, man. It's been a bit since we've recorded. We sometimes will stack our recordings so we can get them out weekly, but sometimes it's been a couple weeks since we've seen each other, and that's a
Don't tell the
darn
fans that.
travesty. Oh, just kidding.
We live in the same house. I'm in the basement. He's in the upstairs.
Yep, I'm in the mid-level. You can see drywall, finished walls.
Yep.
You're in the basement, wood paneling, visible studs. Right?
That's right. I like a rustic.
I think there's 2 visible studs that I see.
Was that a joke about me?
I was gonna say you're one and I'm the other. You turn around.
Nice.
No, I think there's actually 3.
Interesting. Yeah, there's one.
Amazing. Yep. There's one. All right. Well, today we're gonna get right into movies coming out this weekend. We got some fun genre talk, so that'll be fun. So yeah, do you want to go out with movies coming out this weekend?
For sure. We have Megalopolis, and we also have The Wild Robot. Let's start with Megalopolis. This is a conflict between Caesar, a genius artist who seeks to leap into a utopian idealistic future, and his opposition, Mayor Franklin Cicero, who remains committed to a regressive status quo, perpetuating greed, special interests, and partisan warfare. This looks so interesting, a little psychedelic, and it reminds me of, was it Little Things with Emma Stone? Did you see that movie?
Oh, no, I didn't. I saw
There's just even, like in the trailer for Megalopolis, I can tell there's going to be some weird, crazy conceptual, not just like shots, cinematography, but special effects to feed into all of those shots. Like it's gonna be a crazy one, I think.
Yeah, this is a very visual film. So Francis Ford Coppola, and he's been talking about this movie for a while. Like it's very, it's been like his brainchild for quite a long time, and it's extremely visual. It just has a lot thematically going on. It's one of those trailers where you watch it and you're like, I don't understand how the story connects, because it's all bits and pieces of these different really beautiful like set pieces and just beautiful images, you know. And Adam Driver is in it. There's a ton of great actors in it. Lawrence Fishburne. So for me, I was always going to say that I think this movie to me is one of those, I'm like hesitant about it, because if it's so conceptual and it's so deep within, like it can get really like fuzzy and murky and kind of like wacky.
Yeah. Like what's the point?
Yeah. And it's like, sometimes it's like, you know, we have a love of story here on this podcast, you know, especially like, is there a point to this movie, or is it just like, how crazy is it, or how visually interesting can it be, you know? And
yeah,
I think sometimes, even though it's a movie, if the visuals are, you know, pushed more than the story, I think sometimes you can lose some disconnect. But I mean, great director, and it looks amazing, so like I'm in. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'll probably see it, honestly. It looks like they've done such a good what's the word I'm looking for? Like wow factor. I think that the visuals will be a big wow factor. I am also a huge fan of Adam Driver, so
Great actor.
really anything that he's in, I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to see that. So that's a big pull for me. I don't know if I have a certain devotion to Coppola at this point, but I don't think I'm really against him. Yeah, so I think I've been excited for this since the first time I saw the trailer, like a little sneak trailer of it. So
yeah, I
should be
definitely
really good.
we should link the trailer, but if you're already on YouTube, you can just look it up.
Yeah.
But this is definitely one that's like, go watch the trailer. And if you're not interested, that's cool. But the trailer is an experience of itself for sure.
Yeah. And if it lives up to the expectations of like being a commentary on like humanitarian social systems and constructs, then maybe we'll do a whole episode on it. Like if it's that crazy, can like if the concepts are actually like very heady, maybe we'll talk about it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
fun. So after that, we have The Wild Robot. Real tearjerker, this one, I can tell. Shipwrecked on a deserted island, a robot named Roz must learn to adapt to its new surroundings. Building relationships with the native animals, Roz soon develops a parental bond with an orphaned gooseling. Ryan Gooseling.
Ryan Gosling. That'd be so great if he was actually voicing that that character. Does it list what genre this is? Speaking of genres, I was curious.
It's like it's a family adventure animated kind of movie. It feels like a mixture of Big Hero 6 and The Iron Giant. Kind of put together. Which I love those movies. And this one has Pedro Pascal in it. So that's another win, in my opinion. So
Yeah, that's so funny. I was definitely going to say Iron Giant vibes, just like
really cool.
Yeah, forest critters and just like that robot who's that gentle giant.
Yeah, when he's the gentle giant, when the robot is holding the little bird in her hand, that's like big Iron Giant vibe. You're like, oh, I've seen this before. Like, yeah. So that'll be exciting. I like that. I like that kind of movie.
Yeah,
It has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Hasn't come out yet.
as of right now.
Yeah.
I was like that.
That's what we got.
Somebody where rated it somehow and it hasn't even come out or they haven't even seen it. Like,
Right.
I'm really excited about this movie. That was so bad early days of like IMDb. You know, it was just like oh,
can't
anyone
wait.
can rate this
5-star.
5 stars. This is going to be awesome. That's not how ratings work.
Yeah. Well,
all right,
people are
so-
still doing that now.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes they review bombs, but Andrew, sometimes the show is just that bad.
Are you talking about the Rings of Power?
I would never. No, I'm talking about the Acolyte.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it. It doesn't exist. Do you know what Disney? Remember? Did you see the Willow TV show?
I tried.
Did you know they wiped it? Like it's no longer available.
What?
Yeah. So similar thing is they redid. The Willow was a movie, and then they made it into this TV show a couple years ago, and people hated it so much, and Disney deleted it from Disney Plus, and it's never had a video release. So like you cannot watch that show anymore.
No way. That's very Big Brother of them.
Isn't it?
Like 1984. I mean, it's a movie. It's a TV show.
Right.
But honestly, like to the extent of we control the release of this product, and if you have it just on streaming, then yeah, the company gets to decide when and if people get to watch this product.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's a little spooky.
Well, it is weird. And I was like, even if they were like, so many people don't like this, and I don't know why, I don't know what they get out of deleting it at this point, because people already disliked it. But I was
I'm
like,
sure they have to pay like royalties and like producers and actors for keeping it up on the site or something.
maybe, but they own
I'm not sure how that
the
works.
site.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like,
that's true. They don't.
I mean,
Man, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's weird. I did not hear about that. Thank you for sharing.
of course, a little tidbit. And I was like, maybe it's like you'd think they'd at least do like a video release because I know there's some people that love Willow, and they would just be like, "Oh, I just want this season 1." They made 1 season of it,
Mm-hmm.
But no, you're out of luck.
Wow.
It's like the holiday special, They just like people.
Yeah.
George Lucas was so embarrassed by the holiday special, like it's gone. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. What about the holiday special? What holiday special?
Or you've heard about the E.T. video game? Same
No.
thing that like apparently the big rumor is that this video game, I think it's for the NES. It was like a side scroller E.T. video game, and it was so panned that they like got rid of it and they like buried a bunch, and like people always find them in like landfills and stuff.
Oh gosh.
It's crazy. All right, let's jump into our 5 directors by genre. So I've got a list of 5 genres, and I thought we should just start with just sharing our 5 genres that we picked that we really like.
That's amazing.
And I didn't order my list. I don't know if you did, but mine's just kind of random because I'm like, these are just my top 5 genres I like, and then directors that I think really get this genre. And mine was a mix because I was like, some of these have done so many of their movies in this genre, and others are just like one. So it's a little, I don't know how you did your list, but I'm excited to find out.
Yeah. It'll be should be interesting. So you didn't order your list, so do you just want to go one for one? We can list a genre, or should we go through the list?
Let's go through the list. Let's just name just our 5. So I'll go 5 and you'll go 5 of just genres.
Right.
And then we'll break it down.
Terrific.
By what directors. Okay.
Fire away.
Fire away. Fire away. Making the check. Got the music in. All right. I went neo-noir.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. Which is like kind of a loose term for taking like old kind of gangster movies or revenge structure movies and like the new versions of them.
That's so cool.
I think this one's going to be on your list, but maybe you didn't get this specific. Sci-fi horror is my next one.
Oh, I did not get this specific.
Ooh.
This is fun. I like this.
Fantasy.
Yep. Okay.
Now this is a bit weird. I call these kaiju movies, and this is
Godzilla movies?
It's yes, but anything that has to do with a monster. So like
oh, cool. Okay.
Godzilla, but then like Planet of the Apes,
Cloverfield.
King Kong. Just any kind of creatures, Pacific Rim, just any kind of big monster movies, or like even just like a type of a creature, like even The Thing, I think would almost touch this, just like a creature element kind of thing. And then historical is my last one. Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool.
All right. So what are your?
Yeah, you were hyper specific. I was like
broad,
specific.
Action.
But this is going to be so fun. So my least, or the lowest, not my least favorite, but the lowest, is drama.
Okay.
Like character development driven. The plot is about relationships between people and how that is changing and driving a good story. Okay. Usually historical, but we'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
My 4th one is action adventure. Mm-hmm. Doesn't really matter if the characters have plot development or if their relationships like get better or get worse. It's all about like have fun, stuff blows up, and maybe some monsters. Mm-hmm. 3rd one is thriller. And this one is specifically for me is like, this could dip into horror. This could dip into like thriller dramas, or like there are some thriller comedies sometimes. Like I think Get Out is technically a thriller comedy. But just thriller in general. I love if you can keep me guessing and wondering during the whole movie. Love that.
Yeah.
2nd favorite genre is horror. No explanation. It is broad, but also can be very specific. And 1st favorite genre, my favorite type of movie is fantasy / sci-fi. I put them together.
Yeah. That's hard too, because like when you're making this list, like so many movies have several genres attached to them.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's kind of like, to me, I just thought about this list as like, these are movies that are generally going to get me to the movie. Like if it's about, if it touches these, you know? All right, sweet. So I'll try to vaguely number mine so we can keep up. So let's go one for one now, and we'll go back through the genres, and then we'll each talk about the director that we had.
Great.
Does that sound good?
Okay. Yeah. Shall I start?
You start, my friend.
Okay. Drama. My top drama director is Steven Spielberg. And I have included some movie examples like for these directors. So when I think of Steven Spielberg as my favorite drama director, I think of Saving Private Ryan, and I think of Schindler's List, like historical epics, very relational, people-driven. It's very grounded. Obviously, these movies are examples of historical fiction or historical dramas, but it's very grounded. It's like, this is our world, and these are very real people. These are real stories. So I think of Steven Spielberg for that one.
That's great. I'll just talk about that because you just brought it up. I would say historical is mine. And I put Steven Spielberg in historical as well.
No way. I was hoping we wouldn't do this. This is
embarrassing. We're talking about the same guy. No, because it's one of those things too where he's done several big historic movies, some not historic, obviously, but then like, Saving Private Ryan, Munich, Bridge of Spies, Schindler's List, I would all say would touch on historic, you know? But it's interesting because I think those genres kind of hit together, you know? And man, Steven Spielberg just really crafts it. I was like looking at this list and it's like, I know we had a whole episode about Steven Spielberg, so we obviously like him, but he really could be in so many genres of like, some people would say he's best horror, you know, some people would say best sci-fi and like E.T., you know, it's like, man, what a diverse director that's done a lot of cool things. All right, what's your next one?
Next one is action adventure. So I said James Cameron for action adventure. Some action adventure movies that I think of that James Cameron is like the top in this category for me are what he's done with Terminator 2, Aliens, and the Avatar movies. I think while none of these directors are really pigeonholed so far into one area, I think that he, like, for the most part, outshines every other action adventure director, like, for his movies. Like, when he does an adventure movie, it's literally top grossing movie ever, except for the time he did a drama about the Titanic. But so James Cameron.
You know, James Cameron, do you think the Avatar movies would be that much better if they were shorter? No? You think the length is needed?
Think, I'm a big fan of long movies, though. So I love long form storytelling.
Yeah, I get that. I just think sometimes they might be a little like quicker, cleaner stories if they were shorter. But I don't know. Like, I feel like Avatar is such a visual. Both the two we have out right now are so visual, and they look amazing. But then a lot of people talk about the story isn't amazing. I really like the story personally, but I'm like, it feels like, why aren't more people fans of these movies? I feel like they're movies that everyone goes to see. Everyone's like, yeah. And so, like, there's this universal appeal, but then it's not something where it's like you get fanatic fans. Like,
yeah, that's a really interesting point. Like, most people are followers, but almost no one is a fan.
Yeah. And hey, if
they'll keep up with it.
If you are, comment on the video. I think it'd be cool, but I'm surprised. I've never met anyone or heard of someone being like, Avatar is my favorite movie series. It's my favorite movie. Like, I just don't hear or see that fanaticism, you know? And I think it's kind of a shame because it's like, they're great worlds. They're great movies, you know? And I don't know. I find it interesting.
That's a really good point. Wow. We'll have to search them out.
Avatar, what do they call themselves? The Na'vi, right? There's got to be a pun in there somewhere. I'll think on that. I'll get back to you if there's a pun.
Okay.
Okay, so my next one would be fantasy. And, I got to go with Peter Jackson. I mean, if we're talking about the Lord of the Rings, and that's it. I mean, talk about somebody who showed up, owned a genre that forever changed it. It's just like, it's perfect. And I think Peter Jackson, with the Lord of the Rings, kind of owns fantasy in a way that not a lot of other directors own things like genres, because you could say Star Wars, but then I feel like, well, Star Wars does kind of bridge on fantasy, so I wouldn't say it owns sci-fi because it's kind of a fantasy and it's kind of a space opera, and it's like, I mean, but Lord of the Rings is just a pure fantasy movie, it's like
at its best, it is the best because at its core it does fantasy so well.
What else would you say movie wise? Like, there is no other better fantasy movie. I'm gonna say it. No other better fantasy.
I mean, the next thing isn't even a movie, but like at the same, or not at the same, in the same conversation, you could talk about Game of Thrones as like the whole Middle Earth. But again, that is fantasy stories. I think really good ones take long form stories. Like, you gotta really get into the weeds, which I love. It's so fun. I love it.
I live in the weeds, so you don't even have to tell me,
man. Never left the weeds.
And I thought the next, just real quick on my fantasy, we're taking
please.
Like Harry Potter is the next thing that popped out to me as like a popular fantasy movie.
Oh yeah, forgot about him.
That's the thing, is like it's just not as good, and I don't think anyone, even if you love Harry Potter more than Lord of the Rings, I don't think you could argue any one Harry Potter movie is better than any Lord of the Rings movie. Like, all of the Lord of the Rings movies are better than every single Harry Potter movie, and I am a huge Harry Potter fan.
Right,
I love them, but it's just like the movies are good, they're fun, but it's just like they don't hit that quality level.
Right, I totally agree.
All right, what's your next one?
Number three is thrillers for me.
Thrillers.
And
bing, ding, ding.
It's actually Michael Jackson is my favorite director of thriller.
What movie?
Favorite thriller director?
I can't remember.
What? What'd you say? Michael Jackson is in a movie?
Oh, he's in.
I have not seen it.
I don't have enough information. It's like the Captain EO, right? Was that just like a video or something, or I don't know. I'll look it up. You talk.
All right. So, favorite thriller director, David Fincher. Fincher. Sorry, I said Fincher.
I said Fincher before.
David Fincher. Movies that I think of from him: Seven, Fight Club, also Alien 3, correct?
Yes. Yeah, he directed that.
Yeah, that was David Fincher. But mostly Seven and Fight Club. Those are terrific thrillers. I would love to do a honorable mention, because this was in this place until I did more research. And Bong Joon-ho from Parasite, the director of Parasite. He was this spot because I loved Parasite so much. But David Fincher has done more movies in the thriller genre that I've enjoyed over one movie that I really, really enjoyed from Bong. So he kind of took over. But honorable mention, Parasite.
Yeah, it is interesting, like I said before, that sometimes I want to pick a director that does a lot in that genre, or sometimes it's just like you have to pick them because they made the best movie in that genre.
Right, yeah. Like if they change, like Peter Jackson, if he did one series in fantasy, we won't talk about The Hobbit, and it changed the entire genre, then he obviously has to be mentioned. But if there are people who have shaped the genre over decades with many movies, I think they're up there too. So that's where I see Fincher. So what about you?
Well, we got to talk about The Hobbit sometime, but I have a lot to say about The Hobbit, because it was weird because they had a different director, Guillermo del Toro, for so long that I feel like Peter Jackson kind of started on the back foot. And then I think there was a bit of George Lucas mentality where like he made this huge movie, so no one's going to tell him no. And some of his ideas, people just should have said no. It's like, should we have giant CG rabbits? No, we shouldn't.
No, probably not.
But we could. Man, there's a mirror moment in the behind the scenes, real quick, and then I'll sum up.
Please.
There's a mirror image of these two scenes where if you watch, like us, and you're nerds about movies, you watch the behind the scenes stuff, right? So there's this George Lucas scene where he suggests like Jar Jar Binks, and he's just talking about this character, and he's wacky, and everyone in the room is kind of like, okay. And you can tell it's a very much like the boss is telling us this is what's happening. No one is a creative in that room. No one's willing to be like, that sounds terrible. And people bring it up as like a scene of like, do you think this is where people didn't step in, and this is one of the reasons why the prequels, struggled? And then same thing with Peter Jackson. He announced it to the team that they're going to have these rabbits pull this sleigh, and they were kind of like, huh. And it was just sometimes, and it's not even those ideas. And hey, you like those ideas? You like those characters? That's great. But I think, man, it's a dangerous point when a director gets so powerful that no one can rein him in, and it just becomes this thing of like, well, it's Peter Jackson. We'll just trust him, And then he's like, I thought someone would tell me no. Yeah. So that's a whole other subject right there. Okay, now back on track. So yeah, Captain EO is a sci-fi musical starring Michael Jackson. Came out in 1986, and it's like you watch it's like maybe it's just a short. I don't even know. It's something to do with like Disney, and it's like puppets and animation, and it's like it looks wacky.
Oh, that's weird. I've never even heard of that.
If you're gonna go watch something tonight, go click on Captain EO. All right, so my next one, I'm gonna go kaiju. And this one's hard because there's so many directors in it. Like so many people have taken a crack at Godzilla or Planet of the Apes movies, Pacific Rim, I think, is a huge, one. And it's like, I don't know, I'm invented this genre, but it's going to stick.
I like it. It makes a lot of sense.
Because it's like, it feels to me like you can't really put what is that? What are those movies under? I feel like there is a subcategory, kind of like a slasher in horror.
Right.
Like, yes, it's a horror movie, but it's more specific.
Right. And you can't say that the Pacific Rim movies as action adventure movies are in the same genre as Indiana Jones. So then what you say, like action adventure sci-fi because there's big robots and aliens, but then it's like, so Star Wars, but it's not like the main premise is that there are giant monsters. So monster movie, like there's got to be a term for it.
And that's a great point too, because I think the main sticking thing is if you like this movie in this genre, you'll probably like other movies. Like if you like Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim is what I almost called it. If you like
Pacific Rim.
Some people say specific. Pacific Rim, you'll probably like Godzilla. You can't tell everyone. It's like, if you like Indiana Jones, you'll probably like Pacific Rim.
Yeah, get a load of like, Pacific Rim.
And I've mentioned it 57 times, but I would say Gareth Edwards is one of my top directors in that genre, which is
brother.
So, like his Godzilla, his first Godzilla, and this kind of new King Kong Godzilla. It's funny because I don't think it's his best movie. We both know what Gareth Edwards' movie best is. Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Rogue One. Yeah.
Rogue One. Hey,
look at us. But I think his Godzilla movie is such a great representation of what you want from one of these movies. Just like big, scary monster, all visuals, all sound. Like you feel that movie when you watch it. It's a great time. I think he's a great director, and I think he just really owns that genre.
That's such a
Thank
good
you.
answer.
I tip my hat to myself.
I bite my thumb at you.
What does that mean?
Oh, you were homeschooled.
I was homeschooled.
It was freshman year of high school. You take like English class, British Lit, and you read Romeo and Juliet, and one of the characters, it's like the middle finger in like old English. They're like, "Do you bite your thumb at me, sir? And I bite my thumb at you."
Interesting.
Yeah. So all the freshman boys walk around for a couple weeks, like biting their thumbs at each other. It's very funny.
Interesting. Do you know the origin of flipping people off, like with using?
That's
your
like
middle finger?
Archer related, isn't it? Because they would cut their finger off.
I heard, and this might be total BS, but I heard that it was during one of the French and English wars that one side would cut off the middle finger if they had been captured.
Right.
And so that was signifying, like, I still have my middle finger.
Yeah, because they would capture. So I've heard this, but more specifically, when they would capture archers, they would cut off the middle finger because you can't draw like a true like longbow that's like 100 pounds or whatever. You can't draw it with one finger. So if they captured an archer, they would basically say you can never shoot again. So they would be leaving, like showing them, hey, look at these fingers I have. But I think that might be a rumor. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like a rumor, but it's a cool story.
It is a really cool rumor.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was like, this isn't true, but it's a really cool rumor.
It's a really cool rumor. That's called the news.
Oh, good one. Hey, welcome to Your Feature News Podcast, where
Your feature news.
we talk about the coolest rumors.
Yeah. Here's a rumor I heard. No. Okay, so what's your next one?
Yeah, next one is horror. And the director that I've chosen is Stanley Kubrick. Wow. Yeah, I know that my favorite movie of all time is a horror movie. However, I think Stanley Kubrick rises above in the horror genre over Ridley Scott because of the number of classics that he has. Like Stanley Kubrick has like 4 or 5 amazing horror movies. Favorite one for me is The Shining, and a close second is Eyes Wide Shut, because that is such a creepy, crawly movie. Ooh, ugh. Yep.
I was gonna say, The Shining is incredible. One of my favorite movies as well, and I think I'd love to do a whole episode on that movie. That's really interesting that you say that about Eyes Wide Shut, because I don't know how to feel about that movie, and I also think that's kind of cool. Like,
yeah, I think most people would maybe say it was a psychological thriller or something like that, but I classify it as a horror movie just because it really affected me. I don't know, like,
there's a term I want to say about that movie that I can't say because we try to keep it clean here on your future presentation. Yes. It is a mind blank.
It messes with your brain.
Yes, a mind cluster, if you will.
Yeah.
For
context, Wikipedia does not list this as a horror movie like I do. It says it's an erotic mystery psychological drama.
Yeah.
Is that maybe a better depiction of it? Maybe. But is it a terrifying movie for me? Yes, absolutely.
Great choice.
Thank you.
All right. My number 2, sci-fi horror.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm going to get more specific. And I think you would have had the same answer. So I'd say Ridley Scott.
Yeah, cool.
Which is cool because I was like, yeah, if I do straight horror, yeah, same thing. You have to run up all against those. But sci-fi horror and John Carpenter with The Thing in this one specifically, I was like, dude. I think I like The Thing more than Alien, but that's just my personal preference.
Honestly, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah, it's a good one. But then Ridley Scott is someone who's like, not only has he done Alien, but then he also did like, Prometheus and Covenant. And so like man, so like to me, I love all three of those movies. So that's hard to beat. Like he really, I think, understands that kind of space.
Yeah.
You know, the sci-fi horror. And I think to me, sci-fi horror is such a fun genre. I mean, all the Alien movies are in this. Like I said, The Thing, like a lot of like the Astronaut, you know, are in these like it's futuristic, but then there's something element in it that goes wrong, you know. And interesting enough, I think almost Interstellar to me would almost be in sci-fi horror. And I know they don't even list it as a horror movie, but to me, there's so much dread and intensity in Interstellar that I kind of feel like I want to put it under that as well.
It's
but
definitely
sci-fi-
very thrilling.
Yes,
At
it is.
least it's thrilling.
Very thrilling.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty good movie.
What a thrilling time.
Ah, thrilling tale. But I think sci-fi horror is one of the main genres that'll just get me to go see it. If I know it's a sci-fi horror movie, if it fits into that category, I'm just like, yeah, I want to go. All right. What's your next one?
Number one. My top genre is fantasy sci-fi. My top director in the fantasy sci-fi genre is Gareth Edwards.
Beautiful.
Yay, Gareth.
Gareth.
Look at that. Gareth. Obviously, Andor is my favorite Star Wars anything. I say anything because it's a show and it's not a movie, but it's my favorite Star Wars medium. Rogue One is right up there. It's on some of the top, like, couple of Star Wars things. His Godzilla movie, like you said, is outstanding. And just anytime he has a project, I'm like all over it. I love it. So, have you seen any other Gareth non Star Wars Gareth?
Well, was it The Creation? The Creator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Creator.
really cool. It's Jareth. Oh, I got a Gareth Edwards story real quick. So
Okay.
so he went to like a Starbucks or something, and he told him his name for the coffee, you know, to get down the line. You're a barista, you know this. You know how this goes.
Yes. Okay.
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
he's got the accent going on, and he said, "What's your name?" to put it on the cup, and he goes, "It's Jareth. It's Gareth." You know, but he has that accent, so it's Gareth. So the guy wrote
Gareth.
down Scarif.
No
And that's
way.
where the name Scarif came from.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a cool story.
And I also love
Oh, that's so funny.
I love how so yeah, this is an interview with Gareth Edwards. This is where that story comes from. Because I think sometimes like these stories are like, oh sure, that's how it happened, but like nope, this is
Yeah.
what the director said happened. So that's what he names the planet they end up on Rogue One.
Yep.
It's like it's Scarif.
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 Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love when stuff like that happens. It's like, yeah, he's just a real dude making movies. And he's like, that's a cool name. I'm going to use it.
Yeah. I also have a quick story to tell about naming things. So I got in big trouble. I worked at a Heavenly Ham in high school, which is now Honey Baked Ham. It's they sell like Christmas hams and sandwiches and stuff.
Okay.
It's a small chain, but it's there. I got in so much trouble because we would get orders in the morning for like businesses. They'd be like, give us 20 box lunches, and then they'd put their name and their order, what they wanted. So they'd all come in like this little box of like, you know, sandwich, drink, you know, cookie.
Cookie. Chrissy.
And I got set. Chrissy, what's your name? Chrissy. I got so tired of people with terrible handwriting and being like, I don't know what this name is, you know? So like, how am I supposed to put it on this box? So me and my buddy, and I won't throw him under the bus, but he knows who he is, started writing the names as they were written, and not like, that looks like Benifer. That doesn't look like Jennifer. So I put Bennifer. And then like, oh man, like bless instead of like you know, like just whatever it looked like, we started writing them out. And we were cracking up. I was like, okay, to be fair, I was like 16 at the time. You know, it's like pretty young. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Right on all these 20 box lunches. we send them out. So this got delivered to some work event, and they get all these boxes. They called, and they were furious. And as soon as I got in trouble for this, they're like, Heath, what are you doing? And they were like, it was so ridiculous. I didn't get like fired or anything, but it was like, they're like, you can't do this. And I was like, obviously I can't do that. Like, what was I thinking? Like, what did I think was going to happen? When Bess gets Bless on her box, she's like, what the heck? That's not a name. So that always makes me think about that when they say like the names of like that the barista. Like, Scarif isn't a name, my guy.
Come on.
Give him the old, will you spell that?
Oh, that's so funny.
But maybe he was having a bad day. It's like, Scarif, whatever. I don't care.
Well, yeah, I never did the name on the cup thing.
Oh, okay.
We knew that
You
was
wrote it in
muddy
foam.
water. So it would, we would have like they would type it on the screen before the tip, or their card. Our machine would pull their name from the card, and their name would be on their little order ticket.
A little invasion of privacy.
And also their social. So we just had a bunch of social security numbers.
Can you confirm?
Yeah.
This is your
last
social
4.
security number?
And real quick, after the last 4, tell me the first 6.
Yeah. I used to do that when you order
First
food
5?
and they'd pull your information. They pull your information, and like in high school, it'd be like my dad owned the phone, so it'd be under his name.
Right.
It's like, is this Mark? Like, no, but that's my dad's name.
this
so
is
how do you-
Patrick.
No, this is Patrick. All right, story corner over until the next story
That's
pops
right.
into my
That's
brain.
right.
I kept I'm on this new podcast that I'm obsessed with, and tonight at dinner I was like, let me tell you about this, like, to my wife. I was like, let me tell you this one more story. She's like, one more story, sure. I'm like, I'm going to tell you one more story for the rest of dinner. And then I back on to telling more stories. It's called Ninjas Are Butterflies.
Okay,
Have you heard this
no.
podcast?
No.
Oh, it's so good. It's the Cool Carl group. They have like YouTube stuff.
Okay.
Look it up. I think you'd really like it. But that's my podcast recommendation for the week is Ninjas Are Butterflies. It's like a comedy podcast, but they talk about like conspiracy theories and like unexplained phenomenon and stuff too. It's just like very chill comedic stuff, but then they talk about some like, did you hear about this? So it's super fun.
Love it.
All right. Love it. I love you. So
Live on the air, everyone just heard Heath said I love you for the first time. Mark your calendars.
did we tell that story? That's another good story, but I'll save that. We'll save I Love Andrew story for next week.
Yeah.
Mark our
Yes.
words. I will say it.
What's your
Start off the pod with
What's
it.
your director for your final genre?
Yes. So my final genre is neo-noir, which is kind of like what I described before. So my favorite director in neo-noir is Quentin Tarantino. I think all of his movies can go under this, and some go to historic fiction. You know, there's a lot of subgenres to him, you know. But I think if you had to put one, it's these old movie themes and tropes get turned into super, like, stylized violence.
Yeah.
Revenge, you know. And it's just like, I think that's such a good way to describe his work. And, I mean, if that's what we're talking about, you know, serialized, stylized violence, kind of, you know, action thrillers, like, I mean, he owns it. He
sure
crushes
does.
it. I mean, I don't even know what my favorite, I think Inglourious Bastards would probably be my favorite movie of his, but I don't dislike any of them. I mean, they are just all great movies and super quality. You have any opinion on, do you like Quentin Tarantino?
Dude, they're so fun. Constantly. You just throw one on, and it's just a blast. Like, especially to watch with people. Tarantino is one. There's The Hateful Eight I will watch on my own every first snowfall, because it's such a winter movie for me. Like, the vibe of, like, the thick, heavy snow throughout the movie, traveling in carriages, like, when you can feel the relief when they get to the cabin and the fire is there, despite all the tension and murder and stuff. But that one I'll watch on my own, but Tarantino movies are the most fun to watch with friends because something just ridiculous happens and everyone's like, oh, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so fun. It's a great time.
And with The Hateful Eight, too, I think that was the first movie. I feel like he doesn't follow trends. He does his own thing.
Yeah.
Which in the era of Hateful Eight was like 2010s, somewhere in there, I believe.
Yeah, 2013 or 14.
Yeah. And I feel like we were getting so many superhero movies. We were getting so many formulaic, obvious movies, which there was a lot of good movies in there. But I remember walking out of The Hateful Eight being like, I didn't know how that was going to end.
Yeah.
And I love that.
With
Like, the whole
Channing
time
Tatum?
up to-
What?
Yeah. He's a guy that just kind of shows up in movies.
Oh, that's so funny.
His cameo in, was it The End of the World? The spoof. Have you seen that
No.
movie? Oh, it's like the real life of all these Hollywood actors. And like the world's ending.
Oh, this
It's
is
like
the
an
end.
apocalypse. This is the end. Yep.
Yeah, he's like the dog.
Yeah. Oh, hey guys, what's up? Channing
That's
Tatum?
so funny.
Oh man.
Oh, that's good.
And we talked about him in our Wolverine and Deadpool episode. Like whenever he shows up, you know, he's talking about like that Cajun accent and stuff. And it's like, man, all we could think about was, my name is Jeff from 21 Jump Street.
My name's Jeff.
All right. So that's our list of our favorite genres and directors that own them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fun time, fun movie talk. We should wrap up. So next week, we are hitting it big with our Halloween extravaganza.
Happy Halloween. I'm so
When
excited.
the cryptids creep and the tombstones wake, come out to a swinging break. Yeah, we're gonna do a bunch of random stuff. So next week we're starting with top 5 slasher movies.
Yep.
We each have our own list of top 5 slasher movies, and we're gonna be doing one on essential horrors, and it's just gonna be all horror vibes and super fun times. So, do you have
Tune
anything
in.
you're excited about?
Any what? Anything I'm excited about?
Yeah, what are you excited about for
I'm-
October?
I've already started. Oh no. I've already started watching horror movies. If you follow us on Instagram, which you should do, your feature presentation, you'll notice that in early to mid-September, we posted currently watching of The Sleepy Hollow. That was your boy, Andrew. So I've already watched Christopher Walken with razor-sharp teeth behead people just to get into the spooky season. And the spooky season, it is just so good. So I'm having a blast. I'm excited to keep watching scary movies. We have potentially, if we can pull it off, the best, worst horror movies coming up at some point in October. And I think that one will be a really fun conversation.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, take us home.
Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You can listen anywhere you get podcasts. You can watch on YouTube. We have our full video show every week up on YouTube. Subscribe there. Go to Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram. As always, send us to your grandma. Your grandma wants to know. She wants to watch the episode. She doesn't know how to navigate Apple Podcasts.
You got to help her.
You got to
have
help her. So do your civic duty. Leave us a comment on some of our videos and tell us, like today, are you an absolute stan for Avatar? Yes or no?
Where my Navi at? You know?
Where my Navi at? So thank you. As always, go see a movie.
Go see a movie.